How are you approaching tomorrow? And do you think there is a set of topics or questions that actually could imperil Blanche getting this promotion?
Well, you know, my staff put out 14 different issues that should be disqualifying, that conservatives even have come out. You just talk about the Epstein files, his horrific handling of them, him re-traumatizing the survivors because of releasing their personal information, opening them up to hate. Even on the far right, you have people coming out and saying that was horrible and disqualifying. You have former DOJ officials, over 1,200 of them, coming out in an unprecedented way we've never seen before in the Senate. People appointed by Republicans and Democrats, alumni from the DOJ, saying, do not let this person have this position permanently. They are a danger to the United States and our public safety. So you can go through over and over again, even my partnering with Senator Cassidy on the Republican side, about the slush fund that he was presiding over, hoping to get people who beat viciously police officers on January 7th, to helping to get them resources, taxpayer money. So there's numerous things that should bury this confirmation, but unfortunately, we're living in a period in which so many of my Republican Senate colleagues are willing to close their eyes, put their fingers in their ears, and ignore the evidence before them in order that Donald Trump can do whatever he wants and get whatever he wants. But in this case, what he gets, what we get, is the potential of having the highest law enforcement officer in the land being one of the most corrupt ever.
And that's, as mentioned, a couple issues, including Epstein. We're talking amid ongoing questions facing how ICE, which is part of the larger law enforcement system, how it operates, allegations of excessive force, these fatal incidents. Where does that figure into what you want to know tomorrow?
Well, I mean, you say allegations. We all have seen what happened with Renee Good and Alex Preddy, and now these two most recent murders. Fathers going to work with American children, been in this country for years and years and years, being so systematically murdered. And where's the accountability? Where's the investigation? This DOJ has unraveled our investigatory powers into things like this in order to focus on doing Donald Trump's willingness, and have shown their willingness to sell their authority. For example, there's a whole area that I'm focused on with too much corporate concentration, no oversight for these mergers. The DOJ was actively investigating a merger. He goes out to dinner with some of the parties. That's stunning. And then comes back and countermands recommendations he was getting to not allow the merger, and now they're merged. It is part and parcel of what this president stands for, which is the White House is for sale. I'm going to get rich, and I'm going to hire people that are going to protect me, whether it's from things I've done wrong that are illegal or for things that I intend to do while I'm still in this office.
And what do you want to know tomorrow about his view or oversight of all of these very shoddy, baseless revenge prosecutions? I know that some of your Republican colleagues seem to care when it involved, I guess, a moderate or conservative-friendly Fed chair, but they care less when it's other people. It would seem that we need one rule of law for everyone, although I suppose in politics sometimes you take what you can get. So any view on why Republicans were, more concerned about that with the Fed, and how do you press him as a nominee on this tomorrow?
Well, a couple things. Well, first of all, this hits home with me more than ever because I have LaMonica MacGyver, a congresswoman that represents the city of Newark. She's going to trial soon on, again, a case that should have never been brought for her doing her job at Delaney Hall, something you've covered a lot. They brought charges against my mayor of my city, Ras Baraka, and thank God a judge laughed it out. So this is what my colleagues need to understand. First, they're coming for people on the left. But once you are willing to break laws, once you're willing to weaponize the Justice Department, to think that you in some way, and we know this with what we saw with the Fed, they have no bounds whatsoever. This is not about left or right. This is about what's right and what's wrong. And he is a danger to our democracy. He's a danger to our elections. He is a danger to anyone who's abiding by the rule of law and standing up for principle if Donald Trump finds that principle in any way offensive to him or an attack on him.
To broaden out a little bit, you've sort of tried to stand up in the opposition in various ways. People saw you when you were doing the big speech. You have a background of trying activism. You were early adopter digitally. So that's sort of what people think of with, Cory Booker to some degree. Do you have a theory of change here in the second term? Because we see these certain things like the MAGA fund running into Republican opposition, like Bill Pulte running into opposition. Do you have a theory of why certain things are too much, even as many Americans are aghast at how much it seems that Trump is getting away with?
Well, a lot of it is about the psychology of my colleagues, right? Until the November elections, which are coming closer and closer, and we can get back the House or the Senate and really start to perform our constitutional duty of checking and balancing an out-of-control president, providing oversight and accountability. Right now, we are on a narrow, thin margin, which can we change the minds of some Republicans? And that is really the question. And is it fear? Is that the reason why they're not doing anything? We've seen Republicans that are suddenly not coming back to the Senate find a lot more voice in criticizing Donald Trump. So maybe it's their fear of retribution. But we know that Thomas Jefferson said something profound that still applies today. When the people are afraid of their government, there's tyranny. When the government is afraid of people, there is liberty. And so right now we have a government, we have senators that are more afraid of Donald Trump than they are of the people that have elected them. We've got to flip that on them and make them.
Do you think, I'm running over on time, but again, since we have a little, what you would call a colloquy, what we call a conversation, do you have a view of that when we see these Republicans who, they lose their primary, they got a few months left, and now suddenly we get a different version of them? Do you find that's revealing? Do you find it's kind of pathetic? These are grown men, sometimes past retirement age, who suddenly go, well, now I'm going to give them a hard time for a couple months. But you're closer to it than most of us. What do you think?
Well, look, I have very strong feelings on this. But I am here not to, for my anguish and my anger, I'm here to deliver things, to protect people in the state of New Jersey and around our nation. So I'll take whatever I can get. But I'm telling you right now, I'm standing here because civil rights legislation that was blocked by obstinate senators were moved, not by other senators, they were moved by people protesting, standing up, speaking up. This is really a time where every American has got to decide whether they want a corrupt government that's being sold to the highest bidder. That's why Donald Trump made $2 billion. Or do they want the rule of law, which we all swore an oath to? And if you want the rule of law, you cannot be silent as our democracy gets eroded. The speech he's going to give Thursday night is already showing me that our democracy could be really in peril right now. But it cannot end if we stand up and fight for it. And that's what everyone has an obligation. Obviously, I'll be doing that tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, we're on the eve of these hearings. Busy time for you, Senator. Thanks for joining us. We will be right back.